You know, you watch something like that and you wonder why, right? Because there are no patrol cars behind the suspect at this point in time. I guess trying to get into the head of a suspect is just impossible. So trying to figure out why is you know, nonsense. But there are no patrol cars behind him, and basically they think at this point in time it's probably the safest bet to just back off, follow this truck from the air. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. The speeds are a little faster than what we see on the roadway here. We'll bring up the speed tracker. We should be pretty accurate at this point in time because we have the right angle. So we're looking at 50 miles an hour, so maybe just a little bit over the speed limit. And we're certainly coming up on an area where we are going to see more pedestrian traffic once we get up into Malibu. We're in Malibu now, but once we get up by the pier in downtown Malibu, that area, certainly there's going to be some more significant risk.
Yeah. And being on this one road, I wonder if other law enforcement agencies, you know, might be communicating with the LAPD, you know, what the potential is for a spike strip, because he's not, you know, turning as we have seen in other pursuits where drivers, you know, make a lot of turns in one particular area. We know that he is staying on this one road.
Yeah, as we head up into Malibu, it's LA County Sheriff's area, and so they may take over on the ground. They have an LAPD helicopter overhead, and more than likely he will stay involved in this the entire route until somebody comes to replace him, depending on his fuel status. But a spike strip I don't think would be used unless they can get the vehicle to really slow down, because at significant speeds, a vehicle like this, if you did pop those tires, there's a chance that it could overturn. I don't think they'll go that route. They certainly can't do a pit maneuver. That's just not in the cards with a vehicle like this. I think they're just going to watch this. They probably have a lot more information about this vehicle than we do. Looks like fast delivery. We don't know exactly where this started from, where it was stolen from. Certainly LAPD has a lot more information on this than we do at this point in time. They may even know who the individual is. We just don't know. I'm sure they probably figured out where it came from or where it was originally stolen from. But at this point in time, I don't think a spike strip is something they'll use unless they can do it at an intersection up ahead in Malibu where traffic is nearly stopped.
Well, that is the only thing, you know, I would think on that is they know, like Giovanna was saying, they know where he's going. It's not a whole lot of options as far as the drive. So maybe they do have an intersection that they see that, okay, if he comes this way, this is where we'll try it. But we don't know at this point. We're just following a stolen vehicle. It does look as if it's a Lowe's rental truck, but we don't know anything about where it was stolen, how it was stolen. It could have been one of the trucks in the parking lot at a Lowe's. We don't know if it was being used by someone, but as Scott mentioned, the likelihood that LAPD and law enforcement knows where this came from and what's in there and who it belonged to before it was stolen, that's probably very likely at this point. It's the unknown is just what is going to happen as we continue to watch this chase. And what is traffic looking like in front of it now, Scott? I mean, right now it seems to be some cars are even going faster every now and then.
Yeah, it's interesting how the suspect decides he's going to speed up and try to go around traffic at time to time. He may not even be aware the helicopter is still overhead, because the helicopter is even staying behind him for the most part, and it's difficult as a driver to see out of that vehicle with the helicopter to the north. You're going to see him fly through the screen right now, and all the patrol cars are backed off. So we have a light rain in the area. For the most part, the traffic conditions coming northbound are going to start to slow again. It's off and on slow, and as I look ahead, I don't think we really have much in the way of delays, even all the way past the pier in Malibu, up past Pepperdine. What we are seeing, though, is up ahead it looks like we're going to get some heavier rain. And that certainly complicates things if the suspect starts to drive faster. But there's really nowhere to go, right? You're on PCH. Unless you get on one of the big canyon roads, you take Malibu Canyon or you go to Canaan, there's really no place to get away from PCH. We hope he doesn't do that, because that really gets sketchy with his truck on one of those little canyon roads. But if he continues on PCH, obviously we will be all the way up into Ventura County. Right now, you know, it looks pretty stable for the most part. It doesn't look like he's really trying to get away from anyone. And as I mentioned earlier, the patrol cars have really backed off altogether. It wouldn't surprise me if the LA County Sheriff take over. And it wouldn't even surprise me if they just back off altogether. We've seen a lot of that recently, but we're just starting to get in a lot more rain.
That's the move that's terrifying, because it does seem as if he's just fine driving along, and then all of a sudden it's as if impatience takes over, and he starts to go a half a mile or so in the turn lane, which can be terrifying if you're going to use the turn lane coming the other direction.
Yeah, it's certainly, there's no pattern to his driving. One moment he's just fine to stop, and then another moment he's going to do whatever he can. We say he, but I'm not sure we've identified that it is a man or a woman at this point in time. But you'll see there just went through a red light. There was no oncoming traffic, so there was no risk. But certainly this individual does not want to stop. No patrol cars behind him, only the helicopter overhead. And we're really coming up to the pier here in a moment. As we widen out, you'll see the pier in Malibu. And there's just not much in the way of traffic. So I think a spike strip is going to be out. I mean, the only place they could get him would be, basically at a signal light. And they may be thinking about that. If the truck's going at a slow rate of speed, that would work. But if he's traveling at a high rate of speed, I think they might think twice about that. The danger or the risk to someone if that vehicle would swerve into oncoming traffic, that could be severe. So I think they're going to think twice about that. Once again, a pit maneuver just doesn't work with a vehicle like this. It's too big. It would overturn. It would cause more damage than, possibly just getting this over with. So I think they're going to be content to just follow this from the air for the most part and see how this ends up. The suspect drives fast from time to time, as you mentioned, Philip, but for the most part, besides going into oncoming traffic, when the patrol cars were right behind him in the Santa Monica area by the incline, decided to cut through the center median, go into oncoming traffic, fortunately at a slow rate of speed. We may be able to re-rack some of that and get it to you. Hit another vehicle, but wasn't traveling fast enough to do a lot of damage or hurt anyone, and then got back on the northbound side. So we're basically, we're coming up on, I think we're coming up on Malibu Canyon Road here and PCH. And it'll be interesting to see if he tries to go around. It is a red light at the moment, and we'll get an idea what he's going to do here.
And he continued to do the same
right
thing.
Through the intersection. Yeah,
so we do have some more information that the LAPD has backed off. I think they still have the helicopter here, and they're going to go ahead and turn this over to the LA County Sheriffs. This is their area, so they're going to be a little more familiar with it. They're going to have more units in the area. CHP may assist. That's a good possibility, but it looks like now there's very little traffic continuing northbound as we travel through this area of Malibu, but the rain is just now starting to come down pretty good.
Yeah, and so for those of you just joining us, we've been following this pursuit, which we started with it in the Pacific Palisades area. This is a stolen Lowe's truck. Scott Reif is in Air 7 over it and has been following it now, about 15 minutes. A moderate speed chase or pursuit, but he has been driving dangerously. Scott, tell us again some of the incidents that we saw earlier.
Yeah, the worst of it, Giovanna, was in Santa Monica. Now, we originally heard about it on the Santa Monica Freeway westbound at the 405 freeway, basically, and the suspect continued in this truck to the PCH and then got on there northbound. And basically on PCH, right off towards the incline there, right off the split from the 10 freeway, there was a lot of oncoming traffic on the southbound side, and northbound it was stopped. Well, the suspect decided to drive that truck through the center median. There's two lanes in both directions, and went into oncoming traffic and swerved around a couple of cars, but at maybe 3 to 4 miles an hour. It was just stopped. Did hit a vehicle, and then, excuse me, no, here he goes. Marcel's a magician. He was able to run the camera and re-rack this. That doesn't happen often. But you see right there, the suspect went into that oncoming traffic to get away from the patrol cars. So since that time, LAPD decided, okay, that's enough of that, right? That's dangerous. And they backed off with the patrol cars. They kept the helicopter overhead. Thank you, Marcel. It was fantastic. And now LAPD overhead, they're gonna continue with the helicopter, but they're gonna hand this off to the LA County Sheriff's Department.
I've got to say that was pretty impressive to be able to continue to shoot a live chase, rewind, and show what happened at one of its most dangerous spots. But Scott, I think to you and Marcel as well, that is indicative of why they backed off. You said it, but it is, you can't, I mean, he was well over into oncoming traffic before finally making his way back over to the northbound side. And, you know, we can see with his windshield wipers, a moment ago, the windshield wipers were on, so you can see the sheen on the road. We know that the road is wet, and he's heading in the direction of the more severe rain, heading northbound. So this person, even though authorities are not right behind him or her, continues to, when finding themselves boxed in, they're willing to drive into oncoming traffic, onto the shoulder, through intersections. This person has shown no indication that they're going to stop.
Yeah, none whatsoever. I look out the window. I think the LAPD helicopter may have backed off altogether. I'm not certain. I just don't see him. PCH is down to one lane here. We've had a lot of problems on PCH over the last couple of weeks and months with all the rain and landslides. There's a lot of work going on. So you can see it's one lane here. It's narrow, but you can also see the truck's not really traveling at much a higher rate of speed than the normal traffic through this area. And we have gotten away from what there was a little concern about when I first started to follow this, the pedestrian traffic in the Malibu area. And since we have these types of conditions today with the rain, we're not seeing near as many people out coming to the beach, walking to the beach, surfing, that kind of thing. And so fortunately we did get through that area where we see a lot of pedestrian traffic, because we know that we have so many fatal incidents on PCH. They are trying to make changes, but it's a difficult highway to kind of fix so that it's not treacherous and not dangerous, especially on the narrow sides when you have people coming to Malibu, the pedestrian traffic.
Yeah. Has he passed Pepperdine? No, not yet, right? Still heading that way?
Yeah, we're well past Pepperdine.
Oh,
Yeah, we're well past that. We're coming up, Zuma Beach is going to be up ahead. I think Joffrey's is right in here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, if that gives you a little perspective on where we're at. But we don't see excessive speeds, and I really think, the strategy with LAPD is the correct one, because it doesn't seem worth it to get right behind this vehicle if he's going to drive like that. And now that they backed off, the helicopter's not there. We're pretty high. We got to stay pretty high here, because if we don't, we'll lose our signal with the the mountains there, Santa Monica Mountains to the north of us. And so the suspect may not even believe that he's being followed any longer. It's possible.
Yeah, but your understanding is that LA County sheriffs are sort of taking over for this, or will be keeping an eye on this?
That's correct. It's their pursuit now. With the helicopter backing off, a lot of times I think maybe they have some information. Maybe they know who this individual is. Maybe there's a tracker on the vehicle. Maybe, a lot of things that they know that we don't. We can speculate about, but they've decided to back off, so possibly they're just content to let this individual continue to wherever he's going, and they'll catch him at a later date. As long as nobody gets hurt, that's a real good strategy.
Well, and certainly the possibility for somebody to get hurt is significant with that vehicle, but you do seem to see a different attitude as far as driving. I mean, visually, I don't see as many times driving into oncoming traffic or in the turn lane, and he's going faster than traffic. But if this person stops running red lights and starts maintaining some rule of law, it's going to obviously be the way to go. But look at that.
Did he force that vehicle over?
Now he's
still if he wants to come over, he is willing to basically force somebody over to the shoulder or to the middle of the lanes.
Yeah, for no reason though. He didn't have any obstructions in front of him, so I wonder if
distracted,
you see something like that, you start to think about drugs or alcohol. Just look at that. Not having the ability to really control the vehicle, that certainly could be a possibility. But everybody's backed off now. We're getting into a little bit more rain, and we're coming up on Canaan, so that gives you an idea where we're at here on PCH. But yeah, all the patrol cars are backed off, and it seems like a really good thing.
Well, and Scott's signal just froze, and if he's coming up on Canaan, that kind of explains that too. I was going to ask him how long would his signal hold as it began to head in that part of PCH.
Yeah, he did say he had to fly up higher to maintain the signal, and there he is back. Scott?
Yeah, that could happen from time to time because the clouds are moving in and we can only get so high. So we'll try and maintain it. We'll get as high as we can right up to the base of the clouds, and hopefully we can maintain the signal. Once we get a little further north, though, up towards, Point Doom.
He was saying, I think, near Point Doom. Maybe that's when he's going to start to lose the signal. We lost you again there, Scott. But again, for now, it does appear as if this is a monitor situation for law enforcement. They're just kind of following or even maybe watching Scott's signal, because he even mentioned that the police helicopter has gone away. Scott, I was kind of curious if the sheriff's helicopter has been seen, or if and I don't know that we're going to have that signal. Yeah. But, the sheriffs have a helicopter as well, so I'm not sure if they're involved. But for now, it does appear as if they're just going to watch and see what happens.
And we'll keep an eye on this pursuit and, bring you any developments. Are we going to